Hello, everyone, wherever you are in the world. Welcome to another episode of Everything EPL, your one stop for the latest and greatest news and action from the Premier League. You can catch us weekly on Football Worldwide, our channel. Check out our link tree in the link, follow us, and then we'll give you all the good stuff today from the Premier League. I have a great panel today. I'm your host, Mo. To my left, I'm here with Bruno, our host, our European experts from the European Catch-Up. You can catch him weekly. Bruno, how are you, my friend?
I am great. We saw the return of three new extra leagues this week. A lot of football going on here in Sydney. We're in lockdown, so it's keeping us entertained. But we're here to talk about the Premier League. We had some great results. But before we move on, I'd love to introduce a dear friend of mine and an upcoming journalist out of Australia, Mr. James Henderson. We can see you're a Manchester United supporter, but so you're clearly doing well. But how are you?
Number one at the moment. Number one. I'm going to enjoy this moment. It's been a while.
Definitely. But I think before we go into the fixtures, one of the biggest talking points of this week, and I think a lot of us would have noticed it, is the return of fans. And it's not just a little bit. The stadiums were at their potential capacity with all these fans returning. And I just think you look at the results for Matchday 1, there were 10 games and there were 10 winners and 10 losers. There wasn't a single draw, so there's a lot of content. But I'll hand it to you quickly, James. How good was it to have that atmosphere of the fans?
Oh, you can tell the major difference from last year. Like just players just wanting to be out there and just seeing the players put in the performances, and just every team out there just going, this is for these guys, because the last 18 months has just been, like you can say, it's been hell for everyone. And finally football is back, and football back with fans, and passionate fans, and missing it. And you can say that England has some of the most passionate fans in the world, and that's what they've missed. And you can tell that it was a major difference with some of the teams, and as you'll notice by all the results.
Yeah, and before I hand it to you, Mo,
go ahead.
And I want to bring this point up with you, Mo. There was a photo of a celebration occurring during the Manchester United game where the players were right in front of all the fans. All the hands were up cheering, but the beauty of this photo was there was not one single mobile phone out, because everyone's just embracing the fact that they're back at the football. Does that say a lot for the game at the moment, Mo?
No, this is the brilliance of fans at the football. Fans are football. Without fans, we're just watching on TV. These players are playing in silent stadiums. It's a dream, because you can imagine Brentford, new stadium, first time after 77 years in the Premier League, top division. It was a phenomenal game. It was a phenomenal feeling for everyone, even behind the screens. I could not believe myself. Yes, we saw the fans in the Euros, but the Premier League is a different story, my friend. The Premier League is something else. These stadiums are something else. And all I can tell you is just watch the games and hear the fans, listen to them after the games. Forget what happened in the game. Listen to them singing before and after the game. Go find the stream and just watch that, and then enjoy how these fans cheer for their team in each and every stadium of the 10 games. It was absolutely phenomenal. And this is the heart of football. Fans are the heart of football. Without them, I don't think there is football.
No, definitely.
We have to start in the Tottenham Stadium, right? We have to start it. I know the Man United fans, but the bigger story is Harry Kane. Is he going? Is he leaving? But no Harry Kane, no problem. I just can tell you that Son played that very, very well. And I know both of you actually watched the game and you know what happened. But I'm going to ask Bruno, from a Manchester City fan approach, how did you see Manchester City going? Do you need Harry Kane, or do you still think that you can win the league without Harry Kane like last season?
Look, it's been 3 consecutive games for Manchester City without a goal being scored. And it just shows the whole that losing Kun Aguero and not having Gabriel Jesus there in the number 9 really accentuates what's happening at Manchester City. But from a Manchester City fan perspective, I actually took a lot of positives out of this fixture. Look, all credit when credit's due. Tottenham had a beautiful counter-attack. And there were multiple times throughout the first half they also had this potential, but they always made the wrong choice. There was a couple of times where Son would have the ball, and instead of advancing up the field further, he would pass it back and let City reset. But you could tell it also all signs pointed to a very. I can see Manchester City being a very prominent force this year. The biggest question on not just City fans but the rest of the world is Grealish worth £100 million? And we saw a lot of glimpses, and doesn't matter how much he's worth, it's a big, you got big shoes to fill when you're playing instead of Kevin De Bruyne, right?
And Aguero, number 10. If you have number 10 in the back of your jersey,
definitely. But he's playing as a midfielder. A Manchester United fan below me would know the memories and the history that Kun Aguero did in that jersey for Manchester City. So they're big shoes to fill in a number 10 perspective. But taking the field, City looked great. Now, the stats won't lie. The stats say it's a very even game, but everyone who knows football and knows Pep Guardiola, his game plan is not how many shots on target you get, it's how you hold that ball. And City held that ball extremely well. It's just that they did not have that finish. They did not have that number 9 to get that ball in the back of the net and someone to take charge, which was you could see it was lacking. But at the same time, we saw last season, Sterling took the reins, Silva took the reins. So everyone plays their part. But with a lot of names on the Manchester City transfer list now who are going up for sale, there are going to be a couple of holes that we could have easily filled last season. I feel, again, Tottenham were phenomenal. Espirito Santo there, his first fixture as a Tottenham manager coming from Wolves. And you couldn't have given him a tougher fixture against former champs. He came out, his team came out, and they dominated, especially without Harry Kane there. There's reports in Australia saying that the lack of Manchester City scoring a goal actually added more value onto Harry Kane's transfer because it just shows how desperate City are for that number 9. But overall, I don't want to sound pessimistic in regards to Tottenham, but I just feel it was a nice counter-attack, but they didn't show too much pizzazz. They didn't show too much. I don't know the exact word, but it didn't give me the confidence that they're going to be in Europe.
It's the first game of the season as well, James. Tell me a little bit about Tottenham. Should they get ahead of themselves, or to just put their feet on the ground and notice the first game? The stadium erupted when they stepped onto the field, and maybe it's the fans gave them that extra man. So should they be optimistic, or should just put their feet on the ground and then know where they stand this season?
Yeah, it's a good point. New manager, and just it's going to take a bit of time for them to work together. And plus, also they've got the Harry Kane issue. That is a big issue for him, probably behind closed doors. And them trying to figure out, is he actually going to stay with us or is he going to City? And that's the only real place that he could be going to is City, because that's all the talks is Man City. But if he comes back in, it could boost their momentum, and they could move on from this victory, because it was a big victory this morning. In front of your home field, home crowd, and beating the champions of the EPL and probably the best team in the last 5 years. With the best team, they don't have Aguero anymore, but if Aguero was there, it probably still would be a good contest. But as Bruno has said, they didn't really move on from that goal. They just sat back and just thought our defense could do the job, but it really didn't do the job. They just held on They should have just, as soon as they got the goal, they should have just kept going. Son should have pushed more forward, but he didn't. They held back a little bit further. But it's a momentum boost, yes. But I think there's a lot of things happening behind closed doors that could be the factor in the next couple of weeks. If they win next week, it might help them out. But I think they need to get that Harry Kane issue fixed pretty quickly.
Okay, before we throw to you, Mo, just a quick fact in regards to this fixture. There was just under £500 million in that starting 11 for Manchester City, the most expensive team ever fielded in the Premier League history. But then if you look to the bench, there was another £295 million worth of players, right? I don't know about financial fair play. I don't know about financial crisis, but James did touch on they sat back. But is that Espirito Santo's Wolverhampton days coming through and showing, well, when you've got a 1-0 lead against the champs, a 1-1 draw is a good result. But if we can hold on for the 3 points, it's fantastic. If they concede once, we've still got a point out of it. But what were your takes from the Tottenham fixture?
I'm going to talk about the Tottenham. What happened with Tottenham is that when they switched to the 3-5-2 at the end of the game, a little bit to the end, and then everybody thought they sat. Yes, because these players are actually not used to that system. Mourinho played that system sometimes, but Pochettino probably played that system 10% or maybe less in some games. So Espirito Santo is a guy that plays 3 in the back most of the time in his Wolves days. So he has two actually very defensive full, other than Reguilon probably, who actually defended a lot. Doherty on the right side kept defending over and over. So he had 3 center backs and Doherty on the side. It was very defensive actually, and with Oliver Skip and Højbjerg in the middle. This is 7 defenders on the field, flat out defending guys. And they had no other option than playing counter-attack. They do not have Lo Celso is a box-to-box midfielder. They do not have Harry Kane and Son behind him, and that creates a lot of offensive depth. So I think he doesn't have a choice until they have a number 9 to play, to get Son to play that between the lines space that he used to do. He had no other option other than defending. And also, we have to say, Manchester City did not play bad at all, and they could have scored in any minute of this game. And it was just a Man City game, typical. We'll have the ball all the time. The difference is they created chances, and they should have put at least 2 of them away. They had 2 open goal chances that they were missed. I don't know what's the problem there, but I think it's a little bit of like the talk, as James said. There's a lot of talk about Harry Kane, and is he going to go? Is he going to stay? That creates a hole in the mental stability of these players, and I think that's what happens. And they have to sort this out as soon as possible. Are we going to have a forward or we don't? And move on from this. I'm going to move on from the game and then go to the actual, in my opinion, one of the biggest games in the Premier League history. Man United and Leeds in Old Trafford. This was phenomenal. One of the most enjoyable games. Same as last season, 6-3. Well, what a game. And then this game could have been 7-4, could have been 6-1, could have been anything. Leeds, don't let the score fool you. Leeds created probably 4 good chances that they could have put in away. And Man United created about 9. James, let me just ask you, and I'm going to let you talk about your 2 superstars. Was it a Pogba show, a Fernandes show, or it was just Man United show?
I was actually in shock with Pogba because honestly, over the last 12 months with Pogba, it's hot and cold. One day you get this, and then the next it's completely different. But Fernandes, Fernandes is Fernandes. He is that middle for us right now. He is creating everything. Last year he was one of the best midfielders with De Bruyne. You put them 2 together. If you had them 2 together as a pudding, they would be the best midfield in the world. as you look at like all the other teams around the world, like Madrid with, Modric and Kroos, them two together are exactly like if you had Mendes and De Bruyne together. But as going on with Pogba, magnificent. Came out there looking like France Pogba. That's how, and even the commentators were saying at the start of the game, if they have France Pogba out here today, it could be a smashing, which it was. And all credit to Leeds. They put for the first 45 minutes, held United only to that one goal, but it was off a counter attack. And when they got that stunning goal just after half time, I thought this game could turn on its heads. And when United does concede a goal, it sometimes builds. It just demotes them a lot, and I've seen it. It happens a lot to us, but I don't know what Ollie has done over the last couple of months to say, we've had their ups and downs. We're on a good streak at the moment, and let's just, if we concede one, let's bounce back, which they did, and very quickly. And Pogba plays left mid. Who thought? He's usually a central midfielder. Like, it's
a
weird,
brilliant move. It's a brilliant move
is.
from Oli. It's a brilliant move because the guy was next to Fernandez most of the time. It was brilliant.
Yeah, definitely. And with Greenwood up front, and the scary part is that with Greenwood up front, up and coming, we've got all these up and coming strikers. People weren't talking about that. We still got Cavani coming back. And Cavani is a really good striker, and that's going to be a great contest between them both to see who gets that number 9 spot, even with Martial as well in the background. You got 3 prolific strikers. You've got Martial, you've got Greenwood, you've got Cavani, you even got Rashford, who's going to come back from injury, and you got Sancho, who came off the bench for 15 minutes. Wasn't built up with the hype it will, but when he does come on, if he starts or come off the bench, gets a bit more playing time and gets used to the Premier League, it'll be very interesting to see what lineups Ollie comes up with, because he's going to have a tough time picking, because right now you've got Pogba and Fernandez in the midfield, and then up the front is literally, you could have the best strike and contesting with, Man City or say a Liverpool or, or Tottenham, if Tottenham, have their right strike force. Even Chelsea as well. They're dark horses, but with United, I can't of one game. It's got to work every week, and it's a work in progress, and it has been for the last 12 months. And Ollie, he's had his ups and downs, but I just believe that this team on the weekend showed that everyone has Ollie's back, and it will be a very good season if they continue with their momentum on this, I believe.
Bruno, do you have things about Leeds? Do you think they are gonna struggle this season, or they're gonna be consistent? Or it's one game, I know, but is it the second season syndrome, where you're dropped your energy and stuff like this?
Yeah, look, I think I don't want to dwell too much on this because we do have a jam-packed show. So before we move on, yeah, definitely, I think the most impressive thing about this fixture was the demons that Manchester United put behind them after the terrible loss in the Europa League final. Yeah, exactly. And
you had to bring it up. We know that you had to bring it up.
No. But a lot of teams depends on how they bounce back, and you saw. Now I'm moving it to a different league. Inter Milan lose the final of the Europa League. The next first 3-4 games of the following season, you could see that was still playing on their mind. Whereas Manchester United didn't just come out, but they showed the Premier League there's something to be reckoned with. At the same time, it was 18 minutes of brilliance, right? They played well for 18 minutes where Leeds fell asleep, right? Because from 1-0, it was 1-1. And then within the space of 18 minutes, it was 5-1. And when it happens like that, you got to look, well, what do you award this to? Do you award it to the Pogba Fernandes brilliance? Of course you do, because if they didn't perform well, it wouldn't be 5-1. But at the same time, did Leeds fall asleep that much that it made them look good? I don't think so. I personally do think that, it was a fantastic performance. And yeah, there's definitely more. We saw the announcement of Varane at the start of the game. It was a brilliant announcement. I didn't expect it to happen the way it did. Him walking out with his jersey. We saw Sancho, who came on when the game was done and dusted, no pressure at all. But they are going to be a building force. In regards to Leeds, I think they copped the similar result last season against Manchester United, but I just think they boast enough class to stay within the top flight of the Premier League. I think they'll get the points against the teams below them that provide a challenge to the teams above them, right? Whereas you look at some of the other teams who struggle against the teams below them and just give up against the teams above them. Again, on Pogba, you mentioned James earlier. Last season he was ordinary. Last season Pogba had 3 assists for the entire season. This 90 minutes, he had 4 assists. So he's already moved on, right? So, but we've seen in the past players and their attitude, and Pogba is one of these players where attitude does play a big part. And there was links to him returning back to Juventus for a second stint. There were talks of him leaving Manchester United altogether. So if that is true, I don't know, is that a motivation behind Pogba, him driving up the value of himself, or is he really playing for the jersey? So time will tell, because we've still got 37 more games to go, which is the silver lining on this all. But we don't want to dwell too much on that. There was a game which I was extremely looking forward to, and this was due to many reasons. We saw 2 seasons ago Timo Pukki light up the Premier League when he played for Norwich before they were relegated. So that was one of the reasons I really wanted to look at the Norwich-Liverpool fixture. But another one was the return of Virgil van Dijk. Right, so I want to hand it to you, Mo, because I know you watched this game well. And I just want to see, what was your opinion? Did Norwich impress you at all, or is it just the Liverpool show? And is this the Liverpool we saw 2 seasons ago?
Actually, I think Norwich played really well. Like the results will fool you. I think Norwich came out the better team for the first 15 minutes. They actually created. They came on into some good positions, dangerous positions. They didn't put the ball away, but it was okay. It showed the hunger that they want to be there. And I felt that these 15 minutes showed that they belong, they should be here, and they are here. On the other side, Liverpool, Van Dijk is there, Salah scoring and like just assisting too and scoring shows you this guy is never shy of confidence. This guy, he is, maybe some people will say, oh, he lost 1 season wonder. Now we're talking about 4 season wonder. 5th season running, and the guy is scoring in the opening fixture. It's just something brilliant, right? Sadio Mane, and back to his best. He played really, really well. The confidence is up there, and also Diego Jota adds different depth to the forward line. It's that extra, that Firmino from 2 seasons ago, the guy that can assist, can score, can make runs. I think him and Firmino will have a great season. I hope that Klopp can find some way, play them both together with Salah and Mane, and then we'll see a front line that will destroy the Premier League. But I don't know which front line will destroy the Premier League, if Harry Kane goes to Man City, Man United front line, or Chelsea with Lukaku now. But this front line by themselves, they are capable of scoring 30 to 40 goals, all of them together, which is going to be really, really big. James, do you have anything? Did you have anything to add about this game?
Yeah, you pretty much covered it all. But yeah, just to see, Van Dijk back in the back lineup for Liverpool, it's a major difference. Without him there wasn't much cohesion in the back. But as soon as Van Dijk goes back in, it's comfortable. It's they get forward. Everyone he does the job for him. And with whoever starts up next to him, it could be Gomez, it could be anyone. But I think Van Dijk and Gomez, that strike force at the back is one to beat at the moment, and it probably will be this season, and it'll be tough to beat them.
Bruno, I'm gonna ask you a question about this game. The midfielder that played for Liverpool actually is not the starting lineup for Liverpool in the midfield. There was no Fabinho, no Henderson, and no Thiago Alcantara. So do you think when these guys are come back, Liverpool are title content? Can they go all the way, or they can't? Based on the lineup, though.
Look, with a manager like Jurgen Klopp, they're always going to be title contenders. They're always going to be thereabouts. What I really looked forward to was to see how they were going to play without Wijnaldum there. Because in my eyes, that was a great loss. You mentioned Salah. Well, when Suarez left, you thought, well, Liverpool's going to struggle now. And then Salah integrated into the team and played extremely well. I think their midfield isn't going to be an issue, even if they do have a weakened midfield, because James hit the nail on the head from my perspective. If you've got a defense like Liverpool do, you're not letting in many goals. When you've got a goalkeeper like Alisson in goals, you're not letting in many goals. So the challenge for the strikers has just become a whole lot more easier, because that one goal lead can be held on to. You have a lot of faith in your defense. But that is probably talking about defense. I think it's a fantastic segue, because we saw one of the most surprising fixtures of the opening round. It was the opening fixture. It was the team I personally predicted to get relegated this season, Brentford, taking on Arsenal in a 2-0 victory. I don't know if we celebrate Brentford's 2-0 victory like it should be, or do we discuss Arteta and why is he still their manager? Because I remember last week's conversation with Jordan that you had. He said, yeah, he might have won them the trophy at the perfect time, but now he can't keep using that. Is this loss to Brentford? I personally have my money on him being the first manager to be sacked this season, because Arsenal fans are probably one of the most brutal and vocal fans when it comes to their club, behind Manchester United, that is. But no, surprising, yes, but is it showing the underlying issues at Arsenal, or do we just take this 2-0 Brentford win and celebrate Brentford as a whole?
I think Brentford deserved to win. There is no surprise here. Someone showed up. It's exactly, I just wanted to tell you that, in my opinion, that's how I saw it. This is two students. They went to the class together. One of them sat in the first row, wanted to listen to the teacher, and the other one sat in the back and didn't care, even though he is the smarter kid. But he just sat back. He went to the class without any energy, and the guy in the front kept answering all the questions. And at the end, he scored higher than the guy in the back, even though that guy is smarter. That's what Arsenal happened with Arsenal. They showed up to this game not prepared at all. These guys did not have any idea how to play against Brentford. So we, as a Premier League fan, maybe we did not watch Brentford enough. But Mikel Arteta, you have a first game against Brentford, you should know what to do. They did not create enough. They were pressed Arsenal really high and still trying to keep the ball and play the ball from the back, and they created a lot of problems for them. So hats off to Brentford. This is a team that I tweeted at that time. I said, this is a team that belongs. They went to the final 2 years ago, but then now they are here, but they want to stay here. It doesn't matter if it was Arsenal, it was anybody else. They showed that we're prepared. So I'm not going to discuss Arsenal loss. Arsenal is in crisis, in my opinion, from last season. If you have Aubameyang and Lacazette and you don't know how to integrate them on the field together to get the best out of them, and you still don't know if Saka is going to stay in the club or leave because you don't know your best lineup until now, you don't know your best fullbacks until now, that's a big problem. You have been there for 18 months now. So what are you waiting for to know the best 11? And I know injuries and stuff, but he doesn't know his first starting 11. And that's a crisis.
Definitely. Look, James, I'm going to throw it to you. we saw right before the fixture that Aubameyang and Lacazette were missing. But my biggest question is 70 million euros for Ben White in defence, and you're letting 2 goals in against Brentford. Now, is this we didn't, although we saw Arsene Wenger there and there was uproar and they wanted him out, he was extremely consistent. He was getting them into Champions League, Europa League, and everything along those lines. But since he has left, there has been such a destabilization of the team. Now, they've spent 70 million euros, that is. I'm not talking pounds here. 70 million euros on Ben White. Is this just, are they trying to put a Band-Aid on a wound that requires a whole lot more?
Bit of both. So you could look at it as first game Premier League, first game for Brentford, full crowd. It's a big moment for him. Brentford, first game back in the Premier League after millions of years for these guys. I think you could say that it could be a wound, just to heal up, a little bandage on that. But I just think that it was Brentford's night. It was first game Premier League in front of your home crowd. You're taking on one of the best, one of the top tier clubs of the Premier League, and if you want to make a statement, that's how you did it. And they did it. And Arsenal, they can make all the excuses up. Or we had no Aubameyang, we had no Lacazette, but they would have known that ages. They would have known that probably 72 hours beforehand. They knew straight. There was no way they would have known that hours beforehand. But I just believe that it's just Brentford's night. And I'm actually excited for when big teams do go to Brentford, and these little clubs, get the big teams to this stadium and with a full crowd, because there's not many times that you could say that for the fans, especially. When's the time you're going to see a Man City Brentford game, or a Man United Brentford game, or Chelsea or Tottenham going to Brentford? It's just words you would never have said, 10 years ago. But these little teams come through the championship and are coming up now. I know I've come off Arsenal a bit, but I just believe that was their night, and all credit to them. And for Arsenal, it's been such a rocky road, and as you said, their fans are the deadliest fans, and if they want someone out, they will eventually get them out. And since they have got Wenger out, it has declined. They got in Aubameyang and they brought in Lacazette to see, they needed the strike force, but it's a cohesive unit. If they don't work together, then the whole team's not going to work together, because they look at them and going, well, we need you to score the goals. But they're like, well, you need to stop conceding them so we can actually perform for you guys. But they don't see it as that. And I think it's going to be a long road for Arsenal. And right now they are just in tatters. And I don't know what the option is, but I don't believe if they sack Arteta, it's just they're restarting again. And then they'll bring in Arteta that will probably be, and then Aubameyang and Lacazette might not like him, or anyone. They could come in and then next minute they're gone.
Yeah.
And they're expecting so much in so little time. Look, a perfect example, like United. Ollie was thrown under the bus many a times last year, but he's finally brought him through. It takes time, and it just got to take cohesive units to work together. And for Ben White, first game for Arsenal wasn't the best, but I think over time he will show why he's worth the 70 euros that they paid for him.
Yeah, and look, I think you're spot on there. But talking about this, before we move forward, just a reminder to all our fans tuning in, whatever platform you're listening to, please don't forget to like and subscribe for all your Football Worldwide content, where we will be bringing you weekly Serie A and EPL shows, as well as a European weekly catch-up, which will cover all of Europe's top 5 leagues. So don't forget to like and subscribe. But you mentioned Chelsea, James. We saw them win 3-0 over Crystal Palace. And they did it after announcing a £97.5 million signing of Romelu Lukaku.
That's burning you a little bit. I can tell.
Yeah, look, as an Inter fan, it is eating inside a little bit, but when someone hands you 97.5 million pounds, it makes you smile a bit. It's like seeing your childhood home get demolished, but the money you got paid for that, it makes it all better. But we saw them dominate, and there was a couple of instances, and I'll hand to you, Mo, first. But I am going to make a very big statement now. Other than how great and how well they played as a collective unit, but Chalobah, his goal of the season so far, and I think we might have seen it in round one. I just think it was absolute cracker of a shot. Yeah, you might have take the pressure off. They're winning 2-0. It's against Crystal. He's going for it. But it takes a lot, and it meant a lot. And you could just see, and it sort of shone a light onto me as to what Chelsea is to these players in regards to Lukaku. Chelsea is a home to a lot of these players, and you've seen Mason Mount, who went through the academy with this player, and you've seen it. But personally, after seeing this display, I really think Chelsea are genuine title contenders, and they're only strengthening it with Lukaku. But Mo, Alonso, that free kick, could any goalkeeper have stopped that?
No. But let me just tell you something. This team is the most stable team, I think, in the world. Like, all over the world. It's the only team that you can integrate any player into it and then it'll be great. So it didn't matter if it was Ben Chilwell, if it was Emerson, if it was Alonso, on the right side it was Hudson-Odoi, Azpilicueta. It showed that Chalobah, the guy that came in, that's a kid, came from loan back to Chelsea, debut for Chelsea in the Premier League, and the confidence, the shot, the amount of interceptions, the tackles he put in. It doesn't show you how good he is as much as it shows you how stable this club is in terms of anybody can be integrated in the system. I'm going to take it a level up from you. I'm going to tell you, in my opinion, until this Harry Kane thing is resolved, I think Chelsea are favorites. This game, in a nutshell, was we went to the beach, we had a swim, we got up, we had dinner, we went to bed, no problems. There was no problem for Chelsea from minute 1 to the final minute. It was the smoothest game I have seen in the 10 games. Every team struggled. Even Man United struggled when Ayling came 1-1. Nobody from Chelsea twitched a little yesterday. And I'm just going to say one thing. Patrick Vieira, welcome to the Premier League.
James, thoughts?
Talking about his goal, I'd say Ayling's goal as well was an absolute strike as well. Like, you could say both of them would be goal of the week and season at the moment. Like, just the moment he would have had just thinking that, and then the whole entire Stamford Bridge saying shoot, and then he shoots it and it goes in. Just, it would have been an unreal moment for that kid just to do it in front of his home, the home crowd. But yeah, Chelsea, they are stable and there's no problems. And bringing in Lukaku, this might be a boost for Werner to bring in Lukaku, and it might actually change his performances around. Like, yes, he struggled sometimes last year, and in front of goal, but I think maybe if they put them both together, that would be the most dominant strike force. You have one of the most dominant strikers right now of Lukaku, who dominated Serie A, as Bruno would know, being an Inter Milan fan. But just him and Werner together, if Werner could either learn something or Lukaku learns from Werner, them two together with that behind them, with that midfield and that defense, they'll be unstoppable.
Yeah, I have to highlight Kovacic. I have to highlight one thing, Bruno. Kovacic had a brilliant game in the midfield. Tons of interceptions in the midfield, tackles in. He was absolutely great. And it shows you that this is going to be a battle between Kante, the European winner, Jorginho, and Kovacic. This is not easy. It's not easy to choose two of these three to play, along with Mason Mount. who has to start. Mason Mount is one of the most promising young talents in the world right now. So, Bruno,
definitely.
Yeah.
Tell me, what do you think?
On your point of Kovacic, I said it when he was back at Inter Milan as an 18-year-old. This player is going to progress into something great. He went to Real Madrid. He wasn't given the chance. Went to Chelsea, and he has just matured beyond his years as a great player. But he's not one of the names you see on the headlines. He does a lot of his stuff off the ball and in silence. You don't see him looking for praise. I think a lot of people are resting on Chelsea overall, but like you said, they've got Jorginho and Emerson, who won the Euros just recently. They are the champions of Europe as a national team. Chelsea are the champions of Europe as a club team, and they've only strengthened it, right? They haven't lost anything, and they've brought in a striker. Now, I put Chelsea's fourth place finish. I think that they finished fourth last season. It was third or fourth, right? I put their finish down to they focused on the Champions League and they got the dividends they were looking for, right?
And also remember then he got the team mid-season and it was a struggle.
Yes. Dude, and I was about to say, Tuchel is one of the most prolific managers I have seen at Chelsea. No manager has beaten Manchester City 3 times in the last 6 months, let alone in their career, have beaten Pep's teams, right? And he has done it 3 times. It is absolutely phenomenal how he has taken this team. And we saw what he did with PSG. He got them to a final, right? Against one of the greatest Bayern Munich teams we have seen. But what he has done for Chelsea, he has provided competition. And I said it in the European Weekly Catch-Up prediction video we did. I said the top 4 is the same top 4 as last season, but I cannot put the ranks because even if Harry Kane does go there, you said it, Chelsea are consistent. They've got stability, and their manager has Guardiola under his thumb. He knows what he's doing. But moving on to another top 4 potential threat is Leicester City. They took on Wolves. They won 1-0. But I think the story to come out of this is Jamie Vardy, this player who everyone thought was this one-season wonder when Leicester won the title over Harry Kane's Tottenham back then. He rejected offers from Arsenal and Real Madrid to stay with Leicester, and everyone thought he was just going to go away. He's done everything but that. Is this team... I don't think we're going to go as far as saying they're title contenders, but surely they're Champions League contenders. I'll throw it to you, James, first. What do you think? Is this Leicester team the goods? Did they get a Wolves team who just lost Espirito Santo and they're still trying to work their way around the new manager? Or what's your opinion?
First of all, love Jamie Vardy, one of the greatest, imitators of strikers, and just one of them strikers that you want in your team. He loves his Leicester. He says it many times. He goes, "I'll never leave this club because they brought me to this club," and it's everything to him. Everything he does is for them, is for the crowd, is for everything. And for him to score on opening day, and to do what he did in front of the Wolves crowd, it's just typical imitations of old strikers like Cantona and all that. He's bringing back the old Premier League. And to talk about Wolves, yes, they just lost their manager, but I believe this was actually a really good game. It was backwards and forwards, very unlucky by Traore. He missed a couple of times. It could have sunk Leicester if he got them 2 goals in. But just Leicester, they could be a top 4. I think they'll just sit under. They'll probably sit about 5th for a while, and when they get to those top teams, like they did during that time they won the championship, I believe they will pressure United or City or Chelsea. I think teams could go in there and underestimate them. And if Vardy is playing, with Maddison behind him and Tillemans and all of them, they could be an underdog team that could make Champions League. And up against the big teams, they'll be the dark horses.
Absolutely,
yeah, look,
absolutely.
I think we saw Jordan predict Wolves to be a relegation team. Did you see this against Leicester?
I didn't see it, but the problem with them is that I thought that when I watched the game that the plan was not there. It was just individual performances. Like Trincao he was absolutely great, the new guy, but it was individual. Adama Traore was individual. It's a great that they have Raul Jimenez back, but I don't see the Espirito Santo plan that was always there. But maybe the new guy, he needs time. The new manager, he needs time. But this game was just a simple game. Leicester, Vardy go behind, score, done. Their defense is absolutely phenomenal. Now with Vestergaard coming in, this is a top 4 contender for sure. Nobody will tell me otherwise. I know that they don't have the money like the other teams, but this is a top 4 contenders, and we haven't even seen the best of them yet. I think that the forward that scored, I think 38 goals in last season in Red Bull Salzburg, we haven't seen him yet. This is next to Iheanacho and Vardy. That will be a great force. But that's all I can say about this team. Yes. I want to move on to I think this was one strange game, and Newcastle going up and West Ham always coming back. We're always there. They say we're coming back, and it showed us that David Moyes wants to show the Premier League that I'm gonna try to do the same as last year. I'm gonna be there and thereabout, as he said, behind these top 4. And if I can get a European spot, I'll be there. It's the first game. I don't want to get carried away. But Said Benrahma, Michael Antonio makes the biggest difference for them. And West Ham, to be honest, they are very, very consistent team in terms of performances. They never change their plan after they've fallen behind. Even though Newcastle pressed, which is not normal for them. Steve Bruce, very, very good 45 minutes. But then second half, they fell apart because I think West Ham is the better team on the field, and they are more experienced than them. And last season was just a great example of how this team, and they have the personnel to stay close to the European spots. Bruno, what do you think about that?
Look, I've said Newcastle to be relegated. You said they played a fantastic 45 minutes. Well, football's a game of 90 minutes, and you can't go playing 45 minutes. I also feel that you saw the immaturity and the inexperience in this team when the penalty was awarded and given. After the initial strike, which was saved by the goalkeeper, Newcastle defenders were just standing there. There was no follow-up. My opinion is, you have a penalty, you always got to follow up as if the goalkeeper's going to save it. Because in instances like last night, well, this morning your time, you have this follow-through and they scored, right? You saw the game turn there and then. Saint-Maxim is a fantastic player. Do I see him staying at Newcastle? No. I just think he's too good for that team. I feel he doesn't fit the mold of the Newcastle team. And if they lose him, there's going to be even bigger problems. I don't want to dwell too much on this fixture, only because we do have a lot of content to get through. But James, Newcastle, are they the team that you think might be going down, or is it just the first game and they're getting the cobwebs off?
First game, different for every team, as you know. Saint Maximin, as you said, if someone offers him, the money, he's gonna leave. He did all the work today. Them 2 goals, like especially that first one, like Declan Rice was one of the best fielders and defensive for England in the Euros, and Maximin just ripped him, and that's how they got the goal. But with Newcastle, they're a very hot and cold team, and West Ham are too. But you've said before, they are very consistent. But there are times during the season, West Ham, they do fall apart, then they bring themselves back up. Newcastle do this as well, but I do believe they just escaped last year from relegation. I believe that this year Newcastle will get relegated. I know it's only the first game, but I think without any strike force and plus going up against the big teams, they might get a win here and there. They might get a couple of wins, but I don't see them progressing any further. Well, West Ham, all they want to do is get European football, and I think maybe it could happen, and they could get, I think, Europa League, and that will be a huge success for David Moyes.
Yeah, definitely. And look, like I said, we won't dwell too much. I'll throw it to you again, James. Everton 3, Southampton 1. What were your key takings from this fixture? We'll just keep it brief here.
Oh, one of the Everton. Well, one of the other goals as well. That touch and then flicking it top ends. Like they have a good front three as well. Like you have Richarlison, who just came back from the Olympics and won gold for his country, and now he's gone back to Everton and he's scoring, and Lewin as well. Like they're a good team as well. They're well balanced as well. A young team. Pickford, you got caught out a couple of times. I think their defense is a little bit but I think they'll be. I think they're mid-table. I'm saying mid-table for them, especially South. Well, probably mid-table, low after under the mids.
Yeah, that's what you see about the big manager, James. The big manager gives you a better second half. So what happened is they played really bad, and then Rafa Benitez turned it on second half and told them, go out there, play, and he can, like, this is what a big manager will give you. And Rafa Benitez showed it yesterday that he deserves to be there, and this team is go. I think this team has the squad. If Alan and Dakore and everybody's fit, this team can challenge for top 6. I think so. I think they have every right to think that we can do it as much as West Ham and Tottenham and Arsenal. I think they should finish higher than Arsenal this year because they have a better squad than the Arsenal squad.
Yeah. Look, I think so. And let's not dwell on that. One of the more entertaining fixtures this week, and it was also entertaining not just for the scoreline, but life after Grealish. And we saw Watford beat Aston Villa 3-2. I'll throw it straight to you, Mo. Can Aston Villa survive life after Grealish 1? And 2, what do you think? Do you think Watford's going to stay up this time, or are they going straight back down?
If they play every game like this, they're definitely going to stay up. The players showed hunger. They wanted it. The front three were brilliant. Ismail Assar was absolutely fantastic. This team is like they were never relegated from the first time. They were still here, and they belong in the league. As for Aston Villa, I think they're going to be mid-table. I think they might get like 8th or 9th or something because they have a very good players. And it showed when Bailey came in at the end, Bailey, Traore, Danny Ings. This team is going to go, it's going to play really well this season. And there is no fear for Aston Villa. And I think they can be a top half of the table team. It's easy. Life after Grealish, I'm going to say it as we said it in the last episode. They're going to be fine. They're going to live, and they're going to play the same football because they actually brought players that are really, really good. Bailey and Ings are really, really good players.
And you've got to remember Ashley Young there. But, James, I'll throw it to you. Watford, Aston, entertaining fixture. What are you? Give me 1 or 2 points as to what you take from this fixture in regards to the rest of the Premier League.
You got 2 mid-table teams fighting for a spot, and it was one of the best games this week. It was very entertaining. It's Danny Ings. He's a prolific striker. He's a striker you don't talk about a lot, but when he finally gels into the team, they will be a mid-table team, and they will make a difference. Watford, young team, they want it. Their hunger is just unbelievable, and one day, look at what they did to Liverpool. Well, it was unexpected, but they're a team you could underestimate one day, and they could beat one of the top teams.
Yeah, so, definitely.
These 2 teams, they're the mid-table teams of the Premier League, but they're the teams you underestimate that would make a shocker for the week.
Yeah. Well, look, like I said, we'll motor through the last fixture. Burnley 1, Brighton 2. Mo, Burnley played really well, but again, they didn't play well for 90 minutes. What do you think? Do you think this team has momentum to challenge for Europe, or are they going to be the bottom half of the table?
Burnley, they're going to be the bottom half of the table, but it's a very positive thing. Sean Dyche always played a long ball, but they actually, for the first 70 minutes, they controlled the game. They created a lot of chances. They were really good. They played the ball on the ground, and they tried everything possible. Of course, they crossed. They have Chris Wood and Rodriguez there, but they played really well. Brighton, actually, this game, in the first 70 minutes, they did not play the Brighton ball, the Graham Potter game. They actually sat back. They could not move the ball up. But after 70 minutes, the new guys came in, and it was different team. Right away, we're 2-1 up, and they can defend. I hope that Brighton stays. Burnley, I think they're going to struggle this season. I think they're going to struggle for survival. And I predicted them to actually get relegated, finally, from the Premier League after trying so hard in the last 2 seasons after he got 7th 4 seasons ago, Sean Dyche. So the thing I take from this game, it's just one game, yes, but Brighton, now they can score goals, and Burnley, now they can defend, which is what made them stay last season.
Yeah, James, I repeat the question to you. What do you see with these two teams in regards to the rest of the Premier League? And was the result much a surprise, or you just think these bottom half of the table teams are going to have these classic games?
Oh, it's perfectly as you said it. These are the mid table to bottom half the teams. Look, fighting for 3 points. That's all they want to know, and to stay away from that bottom section of the table. But yeah, it's one of those games you don't really harp on about. It's not really ones that you talk about unless it's like a 5-goal thriller. That's the only thing. Or it's if say one of these teams are playing the big teams, it's the only way you will notice them. But that's the way I see it. It's 2 mid-table to bottom half team. Just
fantastic. Yeah, definitely. Look, that's a beautiful. I feel like we've covered quite extensively this week's fixture results in the Premier League match day 1. Some surprises, some not so much. But looking forward to match day 2. We have some fantastic fixtures. I'll throw it to you first, Mo. What is the fixture to look out for, in your opinion, for match day 2 of the Premier League?
It's Arsenal-Chelsea, where Arteta get his team dominated again by a brilliant Chelsea team. I predict this game to finish 3-1 to Chelsea, and it will be an easy game for them. That's what I expect. There's another game, West Ham-Leicester. James, what do you think about West Ham-Leicester? These are two teams fighting for top 6. They came 5th and 6th last season. So what do you think about this game?
Yeah, it's going to be one of the games. Just to backtrack on Arsenal-Chelsea, I don't see Arsenal scoring against Chelsea at all. I think 3-0 again. I think Chelsea will be too good. But to go on West Ham-Leicester, yeah, it's going to be a great classic game. Vardy up against Antonio. That's how you see it. That's how the books will see it. It's who's going to be the more prolific striker on the day. I believe I see a 3-2 scoreline. I think Vardy will just get the top of him. I think just the momentum back. But major factor could be crowds, could be the fans, as we've emphasised at the start. Going into West Ham Stadium, it's massive, and they're so passionate. But I just see Leicester just getting the right at the end. I think Vardy being the killer that he is, I think he'll get the dub for Leicester.
Bruno, tell me about Arsenal and Chelsea, West Ham, Leicester. Tell me your predictions, but also I want to hear your thoughts about Espirito Santo going back to Wolves with Tottenham.
You took the words out of my mouth, man. I love it. Look, Arsenal, Chelsea, it's do or die. And the one thing for Arteta and Arsenal, when their back's against the wall, they'll pull a result out of nowhere and beat the Chelseas, the Manchester Cities, the Uniteds against them on their good days. And it all comes down to Aubameyang, Lacazette. If you've got no one to score a goal, you can't win a game. And essentially that's what happened against Brentford. But look, I think the next 2 weeks will be very, very important for Werner and Chelsea because Romelu Lukaku's in isolation in the UK. As he moved through France to go to England, he has to face that 2-week quarantine period. So I think you find a lot of these players playing to get their starting, to get their foot in the door and to get that starting position. West Ham, Leicester. Look, I put it down to game experience so far this season. This will be Leicester's 3rd competitive fixture after winning the Community Shield against Manchester City, albeit it was a B team, but they did win it. It gives you momentum. It gives you that drive. It gives you that push. And momentum is an amazing thing. Momentum is something phenomenal in the sense of sometimes you don't need to be your best to get the results. But yeah, I do see Leicester edging. I can't see West Ham not getting a point, but so 2-2, if not a 3-2 result like you called. But one of my highlights and my match to look forward to this week would be Tottenham Wolves. We know what fans can do in a stadium, and we saw what the Tottenham fans did to Grealish. And Grealish had nothing to do with Tottenham. So the Wolves fans, we'll see how they react to having Espirito Santo there. But look, I just think it's defining for him as a manager. Tottenham, the Spurs, it's a very big step up from the Wolves. And even if it wasn't his team, okay, you got the 1-0 result against Manchester City. And can you back it up? Can you do it again? Can you follow that through? And I think that's what the most important thing about this fixture is, because if Espirito Santo can do that, we're going to be looking at potential challenges to Champions League / the Europa League spots. But if he falls to the Wolves, or he can't maintain that momentum that they do have, and I'm using that word again, momentum, if he can't maintain that with the team he's got, there's going to be questions as to where they will end up finishing. But yeah, that's all I've got to say in regards to that, Mo.
Thank you, guys. Thank you so much. Here, we're gonna see you next week, and we had a great discussion here with the guys, Bruno and James. I want to start. Thank you so much, James. Thank you for coming with us, and thanks for the great insight, and thanks for all your thoughts. Any final words?
Oh, go United, number 1. I'm enjoying this.
Bruno.
I'm enjoying this. Like I said, it's been too long. I haven't seen them up top. But like I said, I've enjoyed this. This has been really good. Hopefully I can come back on again. But yeah, it'll definitely be an interesting next week with the Premier League. Thank God it's back. That's all I can say for us in Australia. Yes. We've got something to look forward to on the weekends than being stuck at home.
Yeah, thank you, Bruno. Thank you so much, Bruno. I want to thank you so much. And catch Bruno, guys, in the midweek in the European weekly catch-up. Bruno?
Yes, thank you, James. Like I said, thank you for joining us. Definitely be having you on the shows again. If it's not this one, it'll be many others. But, yeah, like Mo said, European weekly catch-up, hosted by myself and Jonathan. You'll find us there. Don't forget to like and subscribe and follow our link tree to all of our socials. You'll be able to find our podcast on all great podcasting platforms. And thank you for hosting such a great show, man.
Thank you guys so much, and hopefully see you next week. Thank you.